Hey guys, welcome to the Movie Goers Podcast. My name is Jordan. You can find me on all socials at Jordy B Writing,
And I'm Darius. These all up in your area on all socials.
and we'll be reviewing Forgetting Sarah Marshall. This movie was released in 2008, starring Jason Segel, Kristen Bell, Mila Kunis, Russell Brand, Bill Hader, Jonah Hill, Paul Rudd, and Jack McBrayer. Forgetting Sarah Marshall is about a struggling musician named Peter Bretter, played by Jason Segel, who's better known as the boyfriend of TV star Sarah Marshall, played by Kristen Bell. After she unceremoniously dumps him, he feels lost and alone, but makes a last-ditch bid to get over it by going to Hawaii. However, she and her new boyfriend, Russell Brand, are there in the same hotel. So I'll toss it back to you for why we chose this movie.
We wanted to lighten it up, man. We've been a little heavy the past couple of weeks. We did the drunk pilot. Then we did Get Out, and we did a
Yeah,
couple more. My memory is failing me right now.
yeah, we
So we
did that
wanted
shitty Tyler Perry movie.
yeah, lady had AIDS. So we wanted to lighten it up for y'all. Get a little comedy in here, make you laugh a little bit. So we wanted to have a little fun with this. So we decided to switch it up and go way, way different than what we've been doing. So that's why we picked this one. We're going to start it up with Act One. We're going to call that the setup. This act establishes Peter Bretter's life with Sarah Marshall, a successful TV star. We see their relationship, and then it abruptly ends when Sarah dumps him. I just want to say off the top, Jason Segel's character is supposed to be a sympathetic person. He's obviously the main character of the movie. We're supposed to feel really, really bad for him. And in the first 15 minutes, he has sex with like five model quality women. And I just like, I mean, one, he bombs at the bar and she ends up in his bed.
Yep.
And then the other three just magically appear in his bed. And
Right. Yep.
you can tell that there were no women involved in the screenwriting process. Remember seeing these women were gorgeous and they were just like in his bed and he was like crying on them. It's like they didn't leave. Like this is absurd. So that is it's a bit bizarre those two to hold those two things and watch them at the same time. So that's my first observation off the bat. What you got?
It's funny you said. Yeah, so first observation for me, one, I'm a big Jason Segel fan. He's in a lot of movies I love. He's also in one of my favorite TV shows, How I Met Your Mother. First impression, I love that this is a what I would call a rom-com with actual male characters instead of just like a prop in the love story.
Yes.
Like I feel like a lot of rom-coms, it's boy meets girl, boy falls in love with girl, boy fucks up, girl leaves, boy makes amends, girl takes boy back at the end. Whereas opposed to this one is actually him being a character as opposed to us liking the guy because the girl likes the guy. You know what I
Yep.
mean? So that's what I really like about this movie. And also, yeah, that's what he said, talk about the writing. Jason Segel did write this movie himself.
Okay. It makes sense. I mean, just like night after night, he has models in his bed,
Right.
and
Just that
just
montage was crazy.
yeah, that is not how breakups work in real life.
No, no, no.
Like
You're
you might snag one night stand that first month, and you walk with a little
yeah.
swagger, and then
And
that
then
drought
you're
hits.
and then you're looking, yeah, and then you're back, you start looking homeless, you gain weight sometimes.
It's like that saying on the internet. It was like I forget. It was like if I drop all my hoes for you and we don't work out, you owe me some hoes.
Oh yeah, yeah, yes. I saw that tweet. Yeah. Did you see that other tweet? It went viral. It was like, there's nothing worse than when you try to convince a girl you're not a hoe, so you drop all your hoes, but then you only find out later that she was a hoe.
Yeah, it's rebuilding that roster it's an uphill climb.
Yeah, it's some
Uh,
nasty work.
some tough sledding, and the fact that he was able to bag five in the literally first 15 minutes of the
Like
movie
first, yeah.
was a
It's
bit
funny what I
unbelievable.
what I do love about that montage though is that it because like most love scenes in movies, it's like romantic and there's music and it's passionate and da da da, and they're knocking furniture over and shit. His love scenes in the movie are like super awkward. They're quiet. You can tell it's random. He doesn't know these people,
Yeah,
which I do like the authenticity of that sometimes. Um, so yeah, so he's going through the breakup. He's crashing out. His friend or stepbrother tells him get the like go on a vacation.
that's Bill Hader's character, right?
Yeah, Bill Hader.
Okay,
Yep. Who's just great and everything. I love Bill Hader. He's hilarious.
good guy.
Yeah, he does just seem like a really nice guy. So he goes to Hawaii and he runs into the evil ex.
Well, let me just say, they break up in his apartment.
Oh yeah, we gotta talk about the scene. Yeah,
And he asked her if there's someone else. And let me just say, there's always someone else.
there's
Like
always someone else.
there's there's always someone. An
If you've been
abrupt
together for
breakup like
five
that.
years, yeah, you. I said they were together for 5 years. She drops him like a bad habit.
Yeah.
There's someone else.
And the cold and callousness with which she did it makes you
Yeah,
let you know that she is riding a wave of euphoria with someone else.
correct.
So I also just wanted to say I miss comedies, just silly movies about nothing. It
Yeah.
was nice to these they don't make them like this anymore. They don't greenlight these things anymore.
Whoop.
So it was nice to live in 2008 for a little bit. Couple of things I noticed off the bat, this movie, real 2008 with the flip phones, or lack of cell phones, period.
Yeah.
And his headphones on the airplane were like the
Oh yeah,
Walkman
the
with the
little
to
with the
duct
foam on the
tape.
outside. Yeah.
So did they live together? Was that ever established?
That was what I was trying to figure out because I couldn't quite tell. I think that was just his place.
But they were together for
Um,
5 years.
well, that's what I thought, but she never she didn't pack anything,
Yeah.
and I think she already mentally checked out anyway. So like, you didn't see like the place was devoid of stuff,
Yeah.
you know?
And it didn't look like a woman lived there. It was a mess.
Yeah, no, it was a mess. It was definitely a
But
man cave for sure.
didn't he like quick clean up when he thought she was coming home?
Yeah, that's
We're gonna
true.
call that a plot hole. We don't know.
Yeah, yeah, we'll call that a plot hole. Yeah, we can call that a
You
plot
know.
hole.
So anyways, they get to Hawaii.
Yeah. Also, did you know that that's a true story, by the way? Him getting broken up with while being like ass naked in, in his house.
I did not.
Yeah. So he tells a story where he's like, yeah, I wrote that story, like wrote the movie. He's like, I was getting dumped and it sucked and it hurt, but like as I was getting dumped, I thought to myself like, this is really funny and would make a good movie.
Well,
And he
a
it turned out to
lot
be
of
that
humor
movie.
comes from pain.
Big facts. Yeah, so he goes to Hawaii to the resort. We see Mila Kunis, who's the
Yeah.
front desk lady, or what concierge, I guess maybe you want to call her.
Lady who takes your credit card at the front hotel
Yeah,
in
lady
Hawaii.
who takes
Yeah.
your credit card at the front. He tries to get a suite. There's no rooms available. The only suite available is like for celebrities, 6 grand a night. And he's like, oh well, never mind. He sees his ex outside the window, and then she's like, oh yeah, she comes here sometimes. She loves this place. And then she walks in and the she takes pity on him and then goes ahead and comps him that room for a few nights, which is very movie.
Very, very movie. Also, room wasn't really befitting 6 bands a night.
No,
It
it
just
was
kind
not.
of looked real regular. I mean, it looked like a nice suite, but
It
like
is nice,
it
and
didn't
honestly,
look like the high roller suite in Vegas.
no, and honestly, I thought the room he got later in the movie was nicer than that one because at least
Yeah,
that one's on the beach.
correct.
That's just me. I just want to say like so when they're chilling at the front desk, um, what's her name? Sarah Marshall's new boyfriend comes up, and it's a famous rock star, Aldous Snow, played by Russell Brand, who's pretty much playing himself, I guess. And
Yeah, he's not a good actor.
yeah, not at all. Um, and then so it's just the height of awkwardness. I just want to say that I hope that my maturity is never tested like that because I don't know how to handle that situation at all.
Well, I know I would
Three
just check
weeks,
out. I would just check
three
out.
weeks after the breakup.
I'm not in the rooms. I mean, it's a movie. The room's next
Yeah,
door. 3 weeks after the breakup, you're on vacation. Like I just would. I'm not subjecting myself to this. I am
yeah,
just
no,
going to
no,
get
no,
another
no.
room. There's got
There's
to be
plenty of
another
beaches in
hotel room.
Hawaii.
Yeah, I'm already here. Or
Yeah.
just another room. The resort. Have you ever been on a resort? Like they're
Uh,
fucking huge. You
yeah,
don't
yeah,
have
yeah.
to run into the same people over and over and over
Yeah,
again.
it's pretty much impossible. Well, not impossible, but it's a pretty small chance of that happening.
Correct. I mean, you would run into them okay, but like you don't have to have the room
Right.
next to them, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, that was crazy. So I want to ask you, have you ever had a Sarah like dated or had a Sarah Marshall type or had a breakup that bad like the way Peter was crashing out throughout the first act of the movie?
No, not really. I just your first breakup is always really, really hard.
Yeah.
You break up with your very first girlfriend, but I don't know. Like you just after that, you're hurt, but
Hmm.
total crash out, check out, crying in a hotel room.
Oh yeah.
No. They just like they take on a sort of an aw shucks vibe about them.
Hmm.
And to answer your question, like full on crying and checking out on life like that, no, I have not. It's not since my very first breakup.
Yeah.
I didn't even cry, but like just being hurt in that way. No. How
Got
about
you.
you?
Um, I mean, I definitely dated a Sarah Marshall type for sure. Did I crash out over her? No. I mean, it was my first breakup, so like it was emotionally, yes, but nothing like she wouldn't have known anything about it. Like it was all internal, you know, or maybe erratic behavior like outside in my personal life, but like while she was not around type shit.
Yeah.
Like I think I remember there was one time where this particular breakup, she'd gotten me like a really nice watch for our anniversary,
Yeah.
and she'd engraved the anniversary on the back or whatever, got it engraved. And I was like, I'm the type of person where like once I'm done with the relationship, I get rid of everything. There's no evidence of me and that person ever knowing each other or anything, deleting all pictures, get rid of everything. So I sold the watch that she gave me, and I actually ended up happened to go out that night, and then I've actually ended up running into her at the club that night.
Was it an
Um,
accident or did you know she would be there?
Oh no, it was genuinely an accident. Like I was
Okay.
there first, and then she happened to get there like an hour after I did. But we didn't speak, and it was dark, so she pretended like we talked later. She was like, "Oh, I didn't see you," whatever. And it's like, okay,
Ow!
right, big cap. And I wouldn't have spoken to her anyway. So that's just I don't really believe in contacting exes personally. But yeah, so that was the closest thing I can really say I had to that sort of experience. But I mean, we all handled it well. We didn't really speak. I actually ran into her at a slam like last year randomly, and we didn't speak then either. So I was believe in keeping it like
How
very,
long did y'all date?
it was over a year
Okay.
some change.
That's some change. That's
Yeah.
some skin in the game.
Yeah, it was like my first like adult relationship,
Yeah.
meeting parents, going to church together, that whole thing.
Church
Um
together?
yes, everything they say about clergy's children is all true.
We
Uh
we can cut out the specifics.
oh, whoops.
You're revealing a lot.
Oh yeah, my bad. That's gonna get bleeped out, y'all. That's just for cancellation prevention.
Jason Segel. Well,
Yeah,
so
Peter.
Jason Segel's character
Hmm.
does a lot of crying, and
Yes.
I have rules. Men are allowed to cry on three occasions: at funerals, at their wedding, not at someone else's wedding, and at the birth of their child.
Hmm.
Beyond those three things, I all that crying, men are not allowed to cry. So that so I gave you this ahead of time. So how do you feel about men crying? I've already said my piece.
I mean, it didn't affect me any kind of way because it ain't they're not my emotions, they're not my pain. Like I'm an
Yeah.
empathetic person. So I mean, I don't know. I mind myself. I'm more of a private person with my feelings. So like,
Yeah.
do I cry? Yeah, I don't cry in front of people. That's not a masculine thing for me. That's just more of like an intimacy thing for me.
At the end of
So
the day, nobody likes a crying ass man. I don't care what
that
nobody
is true.
says.
That is true.
Like
And
nobody likes a
we're not saying,
crying ass
I'm
man.
not saying men can't or shouldn't cry. I think you should feel your feelings. I think it's how you handle them and where you handle them that's important. So I'll just say that for the audience.
I'll say men
Uh,
shouldn't cry. You are allowed in three occasions. A funeral, your wedding, not someone else's. You have to be the groom, and the birth of your child or children if you have multiple. So, want to get into Act Two, or do you have anything left for Act One?
uh, yeah, that's pretty much all I had for Act One. Yeah.
All right. So, Act Two, we're going to call the confrontation and rising action. In this act, Peter's arrival in Hawaii and his discovery that Sarah is there with her new rock star boyfriend, Aldous Snow, intensifies his emotional turmoil. Within 10 seconds of arrival on the island, he has to overhear them having sex in the room next to them. And I just do not know how he didn't check out immediately. I wouldn't even. I went to the front desk like, look, I'll eat the penalties. I don't care if you put me in the shack in
I
the
would have
corner.
built
I got to get out of there.
I would have built a fucking tent on the beach before I
Yeah.
before I sat there and listened to that.
Um,
Uh, yeah, no, ain't no way in hell. There's no way in hell.
I will say this act here. I know that this is the director's first movie as an actor as a director, and so I forget the
Oh,
director's name,
okay.
but I looked it
Nicholas
up.
Stoller, or something like that.
I looked it up because I was like, this is feeling a little
Yeah,
amateurish here. It ran a little long. We didn't need the yoga scene. That one was
it
unnecessary.
was funny though. It was funny though.
And we didn't need the surfboard scene. They didn't really add much. They extended the runtime, and I'm just
That's
like,
true.
could have tightened this scene, this act up here a little
I
bit.
feel
So,
you. Um, but I did always like I liked all the stuff with the young couple.
oh,
Um,
fair
with the
enough.
redhead wife, with the ginger
That was
wife.
actually my okay. So we saw that totally different. That was one of my questions for this act, but you go ahead.
Okay. So some of the scenes that I really enjoyed from this movie is when he's on Zoom with Bill Hader's character, his stepbrother.
Yes.
And I just want to say that
Did Zoom exist in 2008?
shit, I don't know.
Maybe. I
Huh.
don't know.
I'm gonna
Anyways, I
assume
don't know
so.
what technology they used, but they
Yeah,
were
true. I
using
was
so
in
they
high
were video
school.
calling.
Yeah, I was in like
So
ninth or I was in like 10th grade when this movie came out.
it's wild how Zoom has just basically become a verb, like
Yeah, yeah,
for
yeah.
video conferencing.
Right.
We're way off topic, but carry on. Sorry.
It's like texting now.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, so I just want to say it's funny because like no one gives the worst advice to newly single people than
Then
someone who's
you're
been in a relationship for a long time because they don't know they don't know or remember what it's like out here.
My
All you
best
have,
friend has been married since I've known him, damn near.
yeah,
And his dating advice is so 2004.
it's 2008. Yeah,
It's
like my
like
friends are
walk the neighborhood with cookies and see which women's wave back.
what?
It's like no, he didn't actually say that,
Oh,
but it's just
okay,
real like
okay.
go down to the church and talk to the pastor's daughter. It's like, oh man, how you've been out of the game. You were
Yeah,
never in
no.
the game. Like it's they mean well.
No,
It
it's from
comes
a
from
good
a
place.
wholesome
It's
place,
truly
but it's
from a good
just
place.
super dated advice.
Yeah, it's truly from a good place. Yeah, it's funny, like I have a lot of friends who are getting married this year and stuff like that, and they're always like, I'm like the single friend or in this particular friend. Well, not a single friend. One of the at the time I was one of the only single guys in the friend group, up until like recent events or whatever. And they'd always be like, when are you gonna like, don't you want to meet someone nice? Don't you want to settle down? When are you gonna settle down? I'm like, you don't know what it's like out here. It's a wasteland. It's the fucking wild, wild west, dog. It's dog eat dog out here. It's like
Yeah.
it's, I don't know what you're used to or what you remember from dating, but it's not like that anymore.
Last time you were single, people used OK Cupid or Plenty of Fish or
Right, yeah,
any
plenty
they
of fish
actually
and
went
shit.
to websites like
Yeah,
dating websites. No one
like
does
last
that
time you,
anymore.
yeah, if last time you were single, COVID wasn't a thing, or Corona was just a beer, you can't give me any advice on dating.
Yeah. Yeah, fair enough. 5 years.
Yeah, they'll just be like, "Oh yeah, you should just tell her how you feel." No, that's not what you do anymore. You don't. Why did you call her right away? No, you don't.
Like that
No.
famous Twitter thread, you don't want to be out here. Out here ain't whack it was when you last time you was out here.
Yeah, I
The out here
haven't
you
kept.
remember is not the same out here that it
This
is
is
right
different
now.
out here, yo. Out here is spelled differently now too. It's we got a CH in it, okay? Like yeah, like I tell my friends jokingly, I'm like, if you kind of like somebody, just fucking marry
No, get out the
him.
game. It's the shit is not sweet.
It's sour than a motherfucker out
For sure.
here. Um, so one of my favorite scenes from the movie is when they're at, I think it's the 4th of July cookout, and they asked Aldous to come on stage and sing the song.
Isn't it like an aggressive? Like it was like,
It's like aggressively sexual.
yeah. I think he's literally talking about coming in
Yeah,
the song. It's just
yeah. He's like inside of you is like the
yeah,
main
inside of you. That's
lyrics of
what
the
it was.
song.
It was
Yeah.
like
So I love the part where Jonah Hill you did you notice he like starts fixing his pants and
no, I did not notice that.
he goes I just went from 6 to midnight.
Oh yeah. Shout out Jonah Hill, man. Was this
Yo,
his
Jonah Hill is
first?
great. Yeah.
No,
So
no,
this
he
came out
did.
after Super Bad.
Okay, yeah, all right.
So he'd already had a couple big credits, I guess.
And
But
Knocked
yeah,
Up. It came out after Knocked Up
yeah,
too.
that's right. And Knocked
Yeah.
Up. Yeah, and Knocked Up. Yeah, no, he was him, Paul Rudd, and Bill Hader were fucking phenomenal, like little in their
Shout
bit
out to the
scene.
cast.
Yeah, this
Star-studded
cast was
cast.
it had like half of SNL in it, pretty
Yeah, I
much.
mean, there's a lot of leads in this
A
cast
lot of
with
leads
bit
in this
roles.
cast.
Isn't Paul Rudd in a Marvel movie now?
Yeah, he's Ant-Man.
There
Yeah,
you go. Yeah. So, Jonah's a lead. Paul
yeah.
Rudd's a lead.
Kristen Bell's a lead.
Kristen Bell's been a lead of multiple things.
Yeah,
Jason
shit.
Segel's the lead in this movie.
Yeah.
Um,
Who else?
uh, Bill
Oh,
Hader is more of a character actor,
he's more
but
a
he's
best
still
friend
solid.
kind of guy.
Yeah,
Yeah, he's
he's
still
still solid. Movies
consistently
need those,
in
you know?
in good shit. You know what I'm saying? He still puts up 15 a night, you know.
Correct.
Yeah, this cast was pretty like shockingly loaded actually, because the budget wasn't too crazy for this movie either.
You can tell.
Um, by them hotel rooms, yep.
Yeah, the $6,000 suites that
Random six thousand
look like
dollars.
Hilton Garden Inns.
So I want to ask you, what's your favorite line from the movie?
So it's a tie because I have written down here
All right,
one, but I'm thinking of
Because I got another one too. If you got two, it's cool.
All right, so is yours the when he calls the lady, the front desk about the girl crying?
Oh no, 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 that's one of them.
Okay.
But no, no,
All
no,
right.
no.
All right. So I'm gonna leave you that one. So
All
he
right.
gets to the hotel and he's calling his boy Bill Hader and
Yeah.
he's like, oh my God, this is horrible. This is horrible. And Bill Hader's like, why are you whispering? You're not following them, are
Oh
you?
yeah, yeah,
And the camera cuts and he's like 10 steps behind them. I was like, that's funny. It's hard to get me to laugh out loud, laugh out loud. I
yeah.
was dying. I was like, the way the camera cut, I was like, that was
No,
masterful.
yeah, because he's behind the tree and shit. And then
Yeah.
even
He's stalking the people.
when they zoom out and then they're in the he's like, don't say I love him, just don't say I love him. He's like, hey guys, and you hear Bray like, no, shut the fuck up, get the fuck off the what the fuck are you
I love
doing?
a good comedy, man. He was like, "Why are you whispering? You're not following them, are you?"
I love that line. Um, what was another one? So when he's telling the guys at the bar, he's like, "Oh yeah, I just went on a date with Rachel and da 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 whoop de whoop. It went really well." And then the big guy with the afro, the big black guy with the afro, he's like, "She's in customer service, man. She's supposed to be nice to you." He goes, "I bet you think strippers like you too."
I've definitely had to have that conversation with the friend. Like, I don't. You were paying her to spend time with you. Like, that's a stripper. She doesn't like you, man. Like, I'm sorry. Like, of course, she said call her later.
Right.
That number isn't real.
It never- It's
None of that
private.
interaction was real.
Or if you did get the number, it's a fucking what like that. What them apps where that it'll change your number from like text to text or some shit. It's probably some
Seven
shit like
seven
that.
seven 9311.
Yeah, or
Uh,
fucking WhatsApp or whatever.
I guess my second one would be when he the front desk lady Mila Kunis, I don't know how to pronounce her name, calls him
Yeah.
and she's like, everything all right? We keep getting stories about a hysterical
A
woman
woman
crying.
crying
And he's like, yeah, I heard it too. It must be the lady above me. And she's like,
upstairs.
you're on the top floor, man. Like, okay, I'll keep it down.
I think I would have jumped off the balcony at that
It was the deadpan
point.
delivery, like, Peter, you're on the top floor.
You're on the top floor. No one's above you.
Okay, I'll keep it down. Yeah, I heard it too. I think it's the lady upstairs. It's like, you should check on her. It's like, Peter, you're on the top floor.
Yeah. Um. Oh, I know. Another scene I love is the black guy with the fro again, where he's talking to him and he's like, you can just move on. It's easy. He's like, I moved from South Central LA to here. He's like, no, no, I can name you 200 kinds of fish. And he's like, bullshit. And he starts naming all the fish. And then he goes, what's the state fish in Hawaii? And he goes, Hum hum nuku nuku apua ah. Yeah, bitch.
I, at first, I thought that was Craig Robinson. Then it was
Oh
like,
no, no,
it's like,
no.
because he's usually the black guy in these people movies.
He's usually in all their movies too. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So I was like, they really lined this cast up, but it wasn't Craig
No,
Robinson.
yeah. I do love Craig Robinson though. He's great.
We should probably figure out who this guy was, but
Oh yeah.
yeah, I'll look it up. You go.
What was I about to say? Oh yeah, so when they're on this, there's a scene where they're on the beach, his first time hanging out with what's her name? Rachel, Mila Kunis' character, and she goes nuts when she sees her ex on the beach.
Yeah.
And I don't know about you, but for that for me, I'd have been like, I'd have hit the eject button. That's a big red flag. You fighting with your ex on the beach, you screaming, causing a scene and shit.
Well, I mean, so it's all fun until the rabbit has a gun, right?
Yeah,
And so seeing him with someone else made it real for her that
right.
he's not just moping around in your apartment anymore. Because part of the fun of the affair was thinking he was at home distraught for her,
True.
and to see that he was started to live his life made her feel away. Which is like the most, I hate using this word, but the most toxic shit ever. But
No, that's
you
a
know,
fact.
it's
Yeah,
all
you're
fun until the rabbit has the gun.
right.
And the black guy is Mr. Davone McDonald. Shout out to Davone McDonald.
Oh yeah, Devon. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I just found him too. Yeah, he was hilarious. He has great comedic timing. I wish he was in more stuff because he had a lot of talent. I feel like he was a good
Yeah,
scene stealer.
so it's quite his wiki is wikiing. I see
Yeah.
if I 10 of them. Anyways,
Okay. Okay.
shout out to him. It was funny.
Yeah. So one thing I did really like that was cool about this movie in terms of like that we don't really see in rom-coms is um there'd be scenes where something good would be happening with him and Rachel, and then like maybe something would bad would be happening with Sarah and Aldous,
Yeah,
and they would both have flashbacks. And I liked it. It was really cool to me that with Peter, it was kind of him realizing, oh, she wasn't the best partner. She wasn't
yeah,
that supportive of my dreams and my of me and accepting of me and stuff like that. You know what I mean? She's all trying to change his clothes and how he dressed. And then on Sarah's end, it was she kind of realized, oh wow, I did take him for granted. I didn't really fully appreciate him. He was giving me things that I couldn't see value in at that point in time, like from an emotional standpoint, which I
And
thought
she was
was,
getting buyer's remorse because I mean, dating a rock star comes with
yeah, being
what
treated like
comes with
shit.
dating with the rock star, you know.
Right. That's true too. That's true too. Um, Go ahead. What'd you have
No,
for
I was gonna let you wrap up your point.
Okay, yeah, that was it.
So my question, and you mentioned earlier that you liked them. Why was that married couple in this movie? I didn't. I don't like. Every time they were on the screen, I was like, I just want more Peter and Sarah and Aldous and the
and
black guy at the
Rachel.
bartender and
Yeah,
Jonah Hill and Bill. I just don't want to like. Why are they in this movie? I just every scene they were in was a scene with more interesting characters not in it.
that's true.
So
Yeah, I don't know. I wonder because I was thinking about that, and I almost wonder if they were trying to show like love in three stages, where it was new love with them, um, ending love with Aldous, I mean Aldous with
Sarah and
shit,
Peter.
yeah, Sarah and Peter, and then potential forming love or evolving love in Peter and Rachel. That's
Okay,
that's the only thing
yeah,
I can think of at least.
they did it clumsily, but I see what you're
Yeah,
saying. I'm with it.
it
All
was
right,
kind
that
of like
answers my
almost like
question.
Ghost Christmas Past, Present, Future type shit. It felt like a little bit, or all the possibilities of love at least, with those couples. Um, but yeah, I think that's pretty much all I got for Act Two.
All right, we can go to Act Three then. Let me see here. So, Act Three, we're gonna call the resolution. This act brings Peter's emotional journey to a head. He confronts his feelings for Sarah and realizes his growing affection for Rachel. I'm gonna toss it to you because I have a meta observation that should come later. So, you go ahead.
Okay. So I kind of start my X3 Act Three with where he's on the surfboard with Aldous, and he learns that Sarah had been cheating for a year, or they've been
Yes.
having an affair basically for a year behind his back. And I like that. And then fast forward to him waking up unconscious because they had that surfing accident with Sarah, and he's like, "Oh yeah, guess what? I just found out you were cheating on me for a year." And I like that they were finally able to have like an actual honest conversation about the relationship for the first time in the movie, where he
Yeah.
was because remember he kept asking her throughout the movie like, "Be real with me, give me a real answer on something." Like she just was always trying to be, I don't
Which,
know,
by the
preserve.
way,
Yeah,
I we said in a previous pod, closure is incredibly overrated. You don't want those answers. Anyways,
correct.
sorry for
Yeah, they
interrupting.
don't
Yeah.
really help you. No, you're
No.
good. Yeah, they don't really help you. I think she gave it to him because she clearly felt like he needed it.
Yeah.
Um, And I will say, like, few couples or people are ever that honest with someone they're in a relationship with, especially at the end. Um, but again, I just want to bring up the point where, like, in movies, it's always like when a woman cheats, it's like it's viewed as almost as if the guy deserves it.
Yeah.
And then when a man cheats, it's because of like lack of discipline or he was selfish or he didn't care about the woman,
Yeah.
type shit. This movie went ahead and did that again. Um, so I want to ask you, did you feel like her cheating was not excused, but do you feel like you understood why she cheated on him?
Yes and no. I mean, cheating is obviously not something you should ever do to somebody, but
Right.
he wasn't really holding up his end of the social contract of being a good boyfriend either.
Right.
And she should have dumped him. I get that.
Correct.
And also it's awfully convenient that the dude she cheated with just happened to be a handsome rock star.
Right.
Um, so I normally take the opposite side of that, but I on this one I see what you're saying in that
Yeah.
she I would put her firmly in the wrong on
Hmm.
this affair. So um yeah, I'm with you on that one.
Yeah, I think and for me, honestly, it was for me the biggest reason why I viewed her as a villain in this movie is not even just because of the affair, because you could say like, oh, maybe you want to break his heart, so on and so forth, whatever. But it was everything she did after the like when they got on like
Yeah.
her taking a vacation after breaking up with your boyfriend randomly
Well,
out
I
the
mean, she didn't
blue.
tell the nigga to book the same resort. So,
Well,
I mean,
fair.
like she didn't tell him she was going.
That's true. But then it
Like
wasn't even that for me. It was like, okay, so you go on vacation, fine. You run into each other, all right, cool. But then it was me for me, it was she kept being like, why are you here? Are you following me? Like, are you chasing? It's like
it's a
the
little
audacity.
creepy. It's a little creepy.
But
Like
it like
you just broke up with him. You leave with your new
yeah.
boyfriend and he pops up at your resort. It's like, are you armed? That's it's a little, I could see where she would be
I
a bit
guess.
concerned for her safety, given that obviously we see it through Peter's eyes, so
Right.
it's rather innocuous. But
Right.
in her eyes, she's like, my ex-boyfriend just popped up in Hawaii. I think they lived in LA. So that's a
Yeah.
6 hour flight, and he just happened to be on the same resort in the room next
Yeah.
door. What did he look into my phone, or what happened here? How did he
Hmm.
know where I was at? So I understand I mean, it was played up for comedic effect, but like I understand where
Yeah.
in real life you'd have some safety concerns there.
That's fair. That's valid, I guess. I just and then for me too, even like okay, so we get to the part where like her and Aldous break up and she is sobbing in Peter's arms. It's like you use Aldous as a band-aid because you were unhappy with Peter, and now you're using Peter as a band-aid to get over Aldous. Like that to me is what made her a villain.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you on this one. Sarah Marshall is not a good person. Um, Wholeheartedly. She's clearly just using people.
Yeah.
And maybe at one point she loved Peter, but after a while, Peter almost just became like her emotional support dog.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
once she didn't need him, once she was horny for Aldous, she went there, and then when that didn't work
Hmm.
out, she went back to her emotional support dog. So
Yep. Plan B. Um, what'd you think about the double date dinner scene where they're just getting drunk and Aldous started like being like, "Yeah, I'd be fucking host."
yeah, I mean, it was funny. By then the movie felt a little dragging for me, so it was
Hmm.
kind of like, one of the notes I have right now is just like, okay, act like about three-fourths of the way through Act Two, and I didn't say this during Act Two. I was like, okay, the plot needs to move along at some point. Like we're
Yeah.
just spinning our wheels here. We get it. It's awkward. They're on the island.
Yeah.
It's awkward. How many more awkward scenes before we move this plot along? I think the movie
I feel
ran
you.
hour 58.
Yeah.
Could have cut 15 minutes off of that. So
Yeah.
honestly, by the time we got to that dinner scene, I was over the awkward scenes, and I was just like, okay, can we land this plane somewhere? So
Yeah.
it
I
was a
feel you.
good scene, independent of everything else. But I just feel like with some
Right.
tighter editing, it would have landed harder because by then the whole movie is on one basically in one setting,
One location. Yeah.
one location, and it's just like kind of tired of the location, kind of tired of the same plot devices over and over and over again.
Hmm.
Can we move this forward somewhere? So I
Yeah. I feel
enjoyed
you.
that scene and would have enjoyed it more had it been a little bit different than the scenes that came before it.
Yeah. I'm not mad at that at all. That's a good take.
Yeah.
I think yeah, the pacing was a little could have been better for the movie. Like I feel like the first act ran a little long,
Yeah.
and then because the first act ran long, the second act got repetitive because it was a lot of the same thing
Yeah.
from like we got every day pretty much of the four
Yeah.
days they were together. Like,
Which
we didn't really need all of the dinners and all
we
that.
like back at the bar. Okay. All right.
Yeah, back at the
Like
bar, he
we
was getting
get it.
faded. Like, all right, he's drunk. Okay, cool.
Like four things happened in the 2 hours. It was like there was a breakup, and then
Yeah.
they went to the island, and then it was awkward, and then he started fucking Rachel, and it was like, okay,
Yeah.
can we add a couple more different things that happened? And if you're gonna make it 2 hours, you need more stuff to happen.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I'm not mad at that. So I want to ask you, what's the worst? Because so Sarah would always buy Peter clothes, and they'd be
Yeah.
bad, and he was a good sport about it. Aldous was wearing the shirt she wore him that ugly shirt, and then he was just roasting her about it. So I want to ask you, what's the worst gift you've ever gotten from a girlfriend?
Ooh, easily. I one time a woman gifted me a star. She literally bought a
Okay.
star in the sky,
Yeah.
and it was like I got a certificate that said I own the star,
Hmm.
and my name was on it. And that's the gift. Like it was just like it was a certificate that said you own, like you look in the sky, and I guess that's my star. I own a certificate saying it's mine.
Yeah.
And she spent like $300 on that goddamn thing,
Yeah,
and
they're not cheap. I actually
no,
bought stars myself. Yeah.
I was just like, I appreciate the sentiment, but what do I
Right.
do with this? I don't like
Yeah.
it. Not only was it a bad gift, there's zero utility for it. Like I don't. That shit went under my bed until I
You're,
moved. I didn't know
you're
what
like,
to do with it.
you're like, what am I gonna do with the ball of hot gas
Yeah,
in
like I
the
don't like
sky?
what utility does it serve in my day-to-day life? Like when I buy a woman flowers, like there's some like I think it's silly. Women like it,
Yeah.
that's fine.
Yeah, I
I
don't
ain't
get
the
the point of
please.
flowers. They die in a week.
But there's
I don't
some
understand.
utility to it. They brighten up the room.
Yeah, they smell
bring they
nice.
smell nice. What am I? It
Yeah.
literally was a piece of paper saying I own it was a piece of printer paper, glossy over it with certificate saying you own a
Yeah.
star. And to this day, I don't know
where it is in this. Can you find it?
Not
Have you ever found it?
it's in my parents' basement and like,
No, I
you
mean
know, how
like the
you
star itself. Have you ever like gotten a telescope
no,
and like?
no. Right? It just not only is it would be a bad gift for anybody, I think, any man, I think.
Yeah,
But for
yeah, for
me
any
in
man. Yeah, for any
particular,
man. Yes, yes.
me, not a sentimental person, not an emotional
Right.
person. You're
Yeah.
getting me like a gift with zero real life utility. So that was easily the worst gift I've ever received. Uh,
That's
ever
hilarious.
received. It was a star gifted to me. It was basically a piece of paper. She paid
Yes,
three hundred
yeah.
dollars for a glossy piece of printer paper. So I did want to make
That's funny.
one sort of meta observation in that
Yeah.
movies like this are an underrated driver of inceldom.
Hmm.
And Jason Segel's character is supposed to be down on his luck in this movie, an everyday man,
Hmm.
and he's literally at the bottom of the bottom. And in 2 hours, he fucks like 10 women. And
Right.
it creates unrealistic expectations for men in dating, especially young
That's
men in
true.
dating. And I just don't think that's good, for lack of a more eloquent
Yeah.
way to put it. It's just that's not how breakups work in real life. You don't have 5 one night stands a week after your girlfriend dumps you. Like that's not the way it works.
Yeah.
You know, it just, especially when you just look normal. Like Jason Segel is not Brad Pitt. You know, like
No, yeah,
he's
yeah,
the good
yeah.
looking guy, but like you're not gonna walk into a bar and tell some woman, hey, you want to fuck, and then she wakes up in your bed. Like it's not.
No.
It's literally what happened in this movie. Like him
Yeah,
and his
that's true.
buddy are at the, I was gonna say hookah lounge, but it's 2008. Those didn't exist, but
Yeah.
they're having a beer, and he's like, "I'd like to have sex with you,"
He's like,
and
"You want to come
literally,
home?
literally
You
the
want to
next
come
scene they're
home?"
having sex. This is absurd. So
Yeah.
I just,
But
as I get older, like stuff like that, I don't think
yeah.
it's a good message for young men
By the
to
way,
receive.
I literally saw that happen Saturday when I was out. So I was at where we be at, and
Yeah,
I'm hanging out there, and sitting next to these two women. One was a regular, so we're kind of hanging out, making small talk, whatever. And this guy comes up to her, and I think he just asked her, "How old did he look? How old did he look?" And he looked young, whatever. I guess his age. Then she's like, "Oh, can you guess my age?" She told him her age, and then he's like, "What are you doing after?" She's like, "Nothing, just going home." And then he goes, "Can I come with you?" Like just straight up, no, like no, they've had no rapport at all. Just third question he asked her was, "Can I come with you?" In real time, we all were like, did he just say
shoot or shoot.
that?"
Um, so I guess I'll close my question with what was the funniest scene in the movie for you?
Funniest scene in the movie. Hmm, that's tough. I would probably go with um any scenes of him with the guy, all the guys together,
Yeah,
where he's being sad, the black guy's just roasting him, and then the little honeymooner guy's like, "I'm scared of fucking my wife."
yeah,
Like where she comes up to him and she's like, "Let's go back to bed," and she's licking his ear, and he's like, "Please, please no."
fair. I would say mine is definitely the scene where she tells him he's on the top floor and he's
He's
crying, and
crying.
she like the way the comedic timing of it, the
Yeah, the
beats,
comedic timing was
the
great.
way he's like trying to lie his way out of it, and she's like, "Nah, that's not that." The way she told him, "I know it's you," without saying, "I know it's you," was
Yeah.
I thought that was great. So, did you have anything else for
Um,
Act Three?
yes, I wanted to ask you if you could play any character in the movie, who would you choose to play and why?
Oh, Bill Hader's character for sure. You know, Phil Jackson, baby, I want to coach the game. So. Um, Yeah, Bill Hader's character for sure.
Yeah, I think you'd be good in that role, actually. Yeah.
I think so too. Especially, well, it's funny because he feels in the movie, but he's not actually at
He's
the
not
resort.
actually in, yeah, not at all.
So it's just his. He really does own every scene because he's not actually on the set of
Yeah,
the actual resort
correct.
ever.
And not only
So
that, you don't even see, he can't even rely on like physical comedy. You see him from the shoulder up,
yeah, he's pretty
you
good.
know? Yeah, he was great. Yeah, he was great.
How about you?
Oh, that's tough. I mean, playing Jason Segel's character would be fun, but it's too obvious because he's the main character.
Yeah.
So I would probably go, I think I'd have a lot of fun playing the Jonah Hill character.
Okay. All right. Shout out
Did you
Jonah
get
Hill.
shout out Jonah Hill? Did you get the mixtape? Did you get it? Like, did you get
I thought you were
it?
randomly asking me. I was like,
Oh no, no, no.
you dropped a mixtape? Why
Where
did you do
he's
that?
no, where he's like
Why did you
asking,
do that,
he's like,
Sharon?
I give you my mix CD.
All right, what do you rate it?
I'm gonna give it 3 stars. It's a really fun rom-com. Easy on the eyes, it's not, something super taxing to watch. Great cast. A lot of fun to watch.
Three for me too. Good watchable movie.
Mhm.
Um, I would have could have done with some tighter editing in Act Two, maybe a
Yeah,
couple, maybe some stronger writing so that more stuff happens.
right.
Um, but I laughed half a dozen times out loud and chuckled. I can't even count how many times. So that's a win for me. Three
Yeah.
stars. And yeah, that's how I got it. All right, thanks for listening. My name is Darius. D is all up in your area on all socials.
And I'm Jordan. Jordan be writing on all socials.
Please rate, like, subscribe. We're at Movie Goers Pod on all socials, Movie Goers PD on Twitter. That's PD on Twitter. I'd like to take a second now at this point to make the note that this is our 10th episode and 90% of podcasts don't get there. So I wanted to take a second out of this to say thank you guys for rocking with us and more to come.
Yeah, we appreciate it. It's no small task taking out an hour of your day to listen to somebody talk about shit that they love. So, giving us reason to do it. Keep tapping in with us. We got more shit on the way. We're just trying to get better every week. So, shout out to you guys. And again, for any ongoing movie recommendations, you can reach out to us at moviegoerspod@gmail.com. That's moviegoerspod@gmail.com. That's a wrap. Thanks for coming to the movies with us. Next week, we'll be reviewing The Wood with our special guest, another no-name poet. We'll drop the socials, and we'll see y'all next week.